Have you ever faced a major setback in your career and wondered if success is still possible? Most professionals, whether they talk about it or not, experience career losses that shake their confidence and make them question their future. These experiences are excruciating, painful, and disorienting. They leave us feeling unmoored with no clear North Star. Sadly, negative self-talk can take over, and we come to believe that there's something wrong with us. By understanding and reinterpreting the meaning that's been created from these career losses, you can emerge stronger and more resilient. In this week's blogcast, I explore how to turn career setbacks into opportunities for growth and fulfillment using proven strategies to help you rebuild. I'll also be sharing real-life examples of individuals who have successfully navigated their way back to professional satisfaction. Finally, I delve into the emotional and practical steps you can take to regain your footing. These strategies will help you not only survive, but thrive after a career loss. Hey everyone, I'm Laverne McKinnon, and welcome to the Moonshot Mentor blogcast, where I provide tools and insights to support your career growth, including grief work. Unprocessed grief leads to a loss of resiliency. Resiliency is a critical element to long-term career success. Long-term career success leads to financial stability and fulfillment. So that's why I'm both a coach and a certified grief recovery specialist. Okay, so let's tackle the big question. Is it possible to have success after a big loss in your career? Now, I love this question for two reasons. First, because it came from a reader, and second, because it tugs at the loss of confidence that comes from experiencing a setback. A lot of folks contemplate a change of job when they've hit a significant speed bump. Some of my clients have wondered, though, if pivoting into a new industry or role means they're a failure. They worry that they'll never feel the same sense of joy from doing what they originally loved and are haunted by thoughts they bailed too soon. Now, if they stay in their industry or role, they worry that their reputation may have taken too big of a hit to recover. They're concerned they won't get the same opportunities, and they're desperate to feel joy and fulfillment again. All of these concerns make sense, and while we don't have a crystal ball, I can say that I know many people, including myself, who've experienced career success after a big loss. The key to moving forward are two tools: meaning making and finding agency. But why do some people not experience post-grief success? So I want to answer this question before we dive into these two tools, because there are common mistaken beliefs that can hold people back from experiencing fresh success. A mistaken belief is a thought you hold as the truth despite evidence to the contrary. Everyone has mistaken beliefs, and most of us don't even realize it. Now, here are three reasons why some people are unable to experience success after a loss. They hold a mistaken belief that time takes care of everything. Time actually needs grief work in order for you to heal. If you simply wait for things to get better, they don't. You actually have to do the work. Second, people might hold a mistaken belief that if they get past their grief, then they'll lose the special memories along with the bad. Now, grief work is about changing your relationship with the pain and rewriting the meaning that's been created from the loss so that it's helpful and not hurtful. The third reason is that people hold a mistaken belief success will happen on their timeline as long as they do everything right. Now, this is an unreasonable expectation on two fronts. We are not in control of outcomes. We put in the effort and we need to stay engaged, but we don't actually have the power to control outcomes. Second is the unreasonable expectation of doing everything right, because it implies that there are grief rules to follow. There are no rules that will help you go from A to B to C in grief recovery. Okay, so let's take a look at the tools. The first tool is interrogate the meaning that you've made. When we experience a loss, we need to understand it in order to feel safe. We understand the loss by creating meaning. We, as human beings, are meaning-making machines. We get a parking ticket, and it means I'm an idiot. Our project tanks, and it means I'll never get another chance like this. We lose a job, and it means I'm a failure. Now, in each of these situations, we could create alternative meanings that are just as valid or made up. We get a parking ticket, and it means the traffic officer is a jerk. Our project fails, and it means at least I went down in flames. We lose a job, and it means thank goodness. Meaning is arbitrary, yet we are literally rewarded with a feel-good hormone rush when we think we understand the why of something, regardless of whether the meaning we created is true or not. So this first best practice when looking for success after a career setback is to identify and examine the meaning you've created from the loss. If the meaning is hurtful, look to change it. This isn't meant to encourage toxic positivity. It's important to take responsibility for your words and actions, and you may be responsible for the setback. Looking at the meaning is meant to encourage you to make a fair assessment of what happened, and not a gross generalization, I'm an idiot or I'm a failure, or to minimize it. It's not that big of a deal. In the past, I've gone from calling myself all sorts of names after a mistake or a setback to acknowledging that I'm learning. That meaning, I'm learning, doesn't let me off the hook, but it does give me a path forward because I'm capable of acquiring new knowledge. Tool number 2, finding agency. Once you've created a meaning that is helpful, it's time to take back the feeling of control, a term those in the wellness industry call agency. Most people feel helpless, hopeless, and powerless after a setback, but once they create a meaning that's empowering, they can begin the process of rebuilding, aka finding agency. Rebuilding one's career must come from a place of honoring your values and your purpose. If you're living other people's values and purpose, your career does not have longevity. When you have clarity on your values and purpose, then you can take clear-headed action. You're not reacting to the upset of the setback, you're not letting emotions run the show, and you are not allowing other people to make choices on your behalf. Now, here's a pro tip. Emotions are valuable, so you can't disregard them. Always listen to your feelings. They will inform your decisions. So whenever you're feeling dissonance like anger, frustration, disgust, disappointment, it means a value has been stepped on by you, by someone else, or by a situation. Get curious about that so you can decide how to get that value honored, which might mean ending a relationship, quitting a job, moving on. Finding agency is taking action steps informed by the meaning you've created from the loss. For example, I've taken agency from being fired by becoming a coach who specializes in helping people and companies rebound from loss in the professional realm. So what is career success after a setback? Success after grieving a setback involves creating empowering meaning and taking action based on your values and purpose. The universal definition of success means you've accomplished your goal or purpose. However, there is no specific definition of success that applies to everyone. By that I mean success to one person might be having a certain amount of money in their savings. Another person's success might be traveling the world, or getting promoted, or retiring at 55. This goes back to honoring your values and not someone else's. When rebounding from a career loss, part of the grief work is re-examining what professional success means to you. Now, my client, let's call her Cindy, started working with me when she was skipped over for promotion. As we examined all the reasons why that saddened her, she realized that she didn't really care about being promoted. She cared that her parents' investment in her college education would be rewarded by her rise in corporate America. She actually had to grieve their disappointment more than not actually getting promoted. As she reconciled those feelings, she saw the situation as an opportunity to change her professional track. It was no longer a bad thing to be passed over. It was simply information that she could take in to evaluate what was important to her. Turns out her boss sensed that she wasn't truly passionate about the line of work Cindy was in. Cindy eventually quit that company and redefined success for herself, honoring her value of creativity by pursuing her love of music. Simply pursuing her dream rather than her parents' was a success for her. Now I want to give you a few more examples of post-grief success. When Vicky was fired from her job, she believed she was stupid. Through grief work, she created a new meaning. I'm really great at working independently. She found agency by no longer applying to jobs that required grief work. She chose to follow her passion for graphic design and opened a one-person shop. A second example, Rachel was downsized from her DEI role and was unable to find another one. The meaning she created was, I'm irrelevant. Through our work, she came to an empowered meaning. The entertainment industry is in a contraction, and I need to expand my skill set. So she took agency by going back to school to get a terminal degree in order to set her up for more opportunities. Okay, one more example. Roger, as it was at one time a successful reality producer, but found himself struggling to pay his bills post-COVID lockdown. The meaning he created was, I'm too old for this line of work. During his grief work, he created a new meaning. It's time to move on because I'm no longer passionate about my job. Roger found agency by getting his real estate license and getting out of debt. As you can see in each of these examples, the meaning that was initially created shifted through grief work while also recognizing the truth of the situation. Each person also found agency in different ways while honoring their unique values and purpose. Finally, each story exemplifies a different definition of success. Vicky's success is doing what she loves. Erica's success is feeling confident that her skill set has legs. Roger's success is defined by his ability to pay his bills. Before we wrap up, I have to break some potentially bummer news. There's really no such thing as post-grief. The term implies that there is an ending to one's loss. There is no ending, but we can learn to cope with a loss and not allow it to ruin our lives or to run our lives. We can honor the loss, we can find meaning from it, and we can take action as a result, but we cannot escape it. Dr. Mary Frances O'Connor writes about how grief is like a broken bone. Mourning helps the bone to heal, but years later, if you take an x-ray, you're still going to see that the bone was broken at some point. It's a really powerful metaphor that also implies how if the bone doesn't heal, you can still potentially function, but with limited range. When you embrace grief and do the grief work, you're going to find meaning that empowers you and the ability to feel in control of your life again. Bottom line, a career setback is about finding your own path to success. It's about understanding the meaning behind your loss, reshaping that meaning to empower you, and taking clear-headed actions aligned with your values. Success isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. It's deeply personal and varies from one individual to another. Whether it's pursuing a passion, gaining new skills, or simply redefining what fulfillment looks like to you, the journey through and beyond grief can open doors you never imagined. Embrace the process, honor your feelings, and trust that with time and effort, you can rebuild and thrive. So that's it for today. Head over to Moonshot Mentor on Substack.com for journal questions to support you in achieving success after a career setback. I'd love to hear more about your experiences with meaning making, so drop me a comment. You can also visit me at moonshotmentor.com where you can find links to all of my social and how to work with me. A very big thank you to Lynn Chen for the video and audio editing. You can find her on social at Ms. Lynn Chen. If you enjoy what you hear, I would appreciate if you could subscribe to my blogcast. It's going to help me achieve my moonshot of 5,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.